How can Uganda favorably compete in the East African community? We are talking about the world of trade. As every state within the East African community opens up its boundaries, how can we compete with the different states? States like Kenya, states like Tanzania, and many others in a world of trade. Because you find that as Uganda, we are challenged, more so given the fact that we are a landlocked country and we are competing with the countries that have what we call ports, the likes of Kenya and the likes of Tanzania. And you find that business-wise, most Ugandans are consumers. We have less producers. How can we compete in the East African world of trade? Now that is a call to the government of Uganda to make sure that at least we get a niche. We get what we call a comparative advantage over other states. Now when I'm talking about a comparative advantage, I'm bringing it from the Ricardian theory school of thought, where a country can edge others based on what it can do. What can Uganda contribute to other states? How can we compete with other countries, bearing in mind that we are challenged, as I stated above? What is our advantage? Because you find that Kenya and Tanzania have seaports and they bring in income. You find that Kenya has a lot of entrepreneurs, has a lot of producers. And how can Uganda compete amid such challenges? Now, it is upon the government of Uganda to put in place strategies of making sure that Uganda gets a comparative advantage over these other nations. And what is our niche? What is our advantage over Kenya, Tanzania, and other states? One advantage we have over these other countries is because of our good soils. The blessing of the good soils. Literally meaning that Uganda can become the food basket of East Africa. Uganda can become the food basket of Africa and the world. Because you find that every region in Uganda has an advantage. When you go to the west, bananas, cattle, milk. So it is upon the government of Uganda to put in place strategies that can develop that advantage of the west. When you come to the east, and central, coffee plantations. You talk about passion fruit farming and many other things. So government should make sure that it develops those advantages. Rice farming, tobacco farming, and many other things in the north. So that at least government can develop those advantages. Now, when you develop such advantages and you create market for them, then people will be able to get income from the East African community. That means that people will come from Kenya, people will come from Tanzania, and they will take our coffee, they will take our posho, they will take our beans. And you try as much as possible to minimize on the coming in of things which Ugandans produce. It is incumbent upon government to make sure that it equips its producers. Because you find that most factories of Ugandans are struggling. These people have loans. These people don't have market for their products. So it is government to look for their market. And by doing that, that will develop Ugandans. At this point in time, Uganda does not have any advantage over other nations. And that is why we are going to suffer most, because of the boundaries which have been opened up. That is why we are having an influx of Kenyans. Kenyans are buying a lot of our land. Kenyans are buying a lot of our products. Kenyans are beginning all sorts of factories, supermarkets. Chinese are everywhere. They are the ones in shops, and Indians. And you find that Ugandans are jobless. And we are going to lose out more until God gets thinkers in Ministry of Trade. People who can think for this country. People who can compare the various advantages of other countries. What is the niche of Rwanda? What is the niche of Tanzania? What is the niche of Kenya? What is the niche of Southern Sudan? What is the niche of Congo? And how can we better ourselves so that we can compete favorably with these nations until we come up with a product that can sell us to other nations, that we can offer to other nations, that can get us an advantage, that when we compare ourselves with other nations, at least we are able to compete in regards to trade. Then it will be a successful story in regards to the East African community or trade. But otherwise, without that, we are going to continue living in poverty and living in a world of unemployment.